Hey, what's up, everybody? Nifty here, and today we're going to be doing the first part review of Limbuscompany Canto 6 Clear All Kathy. So, as of now, the game is currently undergoing maintenance for the second batch of stages. I just finished what I believe was the first batch, where we were just about to go into the basement. And then the game was like, yeah, we're closing for maintenance. So I hope that fight that I just did was saved. It would be tragic if it wasn't. I'd be pretty depressed if I had to go through that crap again, but it's whatever. So yeah, what we're going to talk about is basically covering how I feel about this canto so far, the themes, the stories, my predictions, all that stuff. So first off, I'll say it right now, and I know this is bold. This is already my favorite canto. This is already my favorite canto because, one, there are so many characters. Two, it is like, it's just hitting me right in the brain, the neurons for Umineko. Incredible visual novel. The manga is freaking confusing. I got a headache, but I loved the visual novel like crazy. And yeah, basically the fact that this gives me Umineko vibes is very cool. When we first arrived there, we learn, time track. T Corp. It seems like there's no color. Everyone's stealing each other's time. It's very interesting. Heathcliff said everyone's born with a watch. It's basically like their ID, their identification, their social. You take that, they're basically nobody. They're nothing. So that was very interesting. We're getting ready to go to the manor. I'm going to speed past this early beginning part. We get ready to go to the manor because we get an invitation. It seems like it's a love letter to Heathcliff from Catherine. And everyone's like, oh, Heathcliff, we gotta go there, that's your girl. Even Virgil was like warming up to the sinners, which is really interesting. And like when the sinners wanted to dress Heathcliff up, he was like, surely you wouldn't allow that, Virgil. Virgil was like, yeah, go for it. He's like, yeah, go for it, bro. So they dressed Heathcliff up. We went up to Wuthering Heights, the mansion, the manor. We see that there's like a raging storm in that area only. It's really weird. We see that lightning strikes a nearby squirrel, and it seems like it's like a defense system. Almost like the house has a will of its own, which is very, very interesting. We knock on the door. Nelly, the head butler, or the chief butler, I'll just call her the head butler, comes out. It's like, yo, what's up, Heath? It's been a while. So we go in. He's like, yo, where's Catherine? Take me to Catherine. It's getting really awkward. We meet some characters. We meet Edgar Linton. We meet, what's his name? Hindley. I'm probably just going to call him Hindley. Hindley and Linton both really do not like Heathcliff at all. But it seems like they are doling out the inheritance from, well, not inheritance, but inheritance from Catherine. We learned that Catherine has died. She passed away, supposedly. And crap, I forgot the name of the freaking syndicate. Oh, hold on, I'm going through my screenshots right now. There was a syndicate, these purple guys. Oh, speaking of purple, when we were walking into the manor, we saw these violet flowers. I think that's going to be very, very important later on. I think it's going to be super important. Let's see. What are their names? Oh, okay. Well, actually, before them, we met Heathcliff's old boss for the Dead Rabbits, which is a syndicate. And they are, let's see, what are they again? I believe their rank was Urban Plague. So they were pretty mid, just fairly smack dab in the middle. Strong, but not like actually scary strong. So that was interesting. But yeah, I made a list. So I'm just gonna run through this best as I can because I want to be able to get back to playing it once it's done updating. But yeah. Nelly is probably going to serve as our guide for like the entire canto. I do think Nelly's going to die. She states that famous association fixtures retire. They often retire and become butlers, which is, the butlers are basically their own syndicate in its own sense, which I think is really cool. We learned Catherine was married. Edgar Linton is her husband, and he is not fond of Heathcliff because I think it's fairly obvious Heathcliff had a crush on Kathy. He liked her a lot, probably even loved her. And I think even Catherine loved Heathcliff, and she did not love Edgar Linton. And I think he knows that. Um, let's see. When they were doling out when this syndicate, I forgot the name. It's eating away at me, and I can't open the game to check right now. Actually, hold on. I could probably try to find it while I'm talking here. Limbuscompany, Canto 6. I'm sure it'll be on like the wiki by now, right? Story episodes. Yes. The letter. No, we don't want that. Nellie reception. Catherine Butler's ghost riddles. Oh yeah, Boss Matthew. That's the name of the dude. Heathcliff's old boss, obviously. Okay. Okay, well, yeah, I was right here when Don saw them and started freaking out. So the people who are dishing or doling out, like reading the inheritance stuff, are from the Ophi Association? The Ufi Association? I can't pronounce that. But yeah, that's their association. They're kind of like the refs here, where they were like, we're gonna read it out, and you're gonna get what we say is in her will. So she gives the house to Edgar Linton. It seemed like she was gonna give her money to her brother, Hindley, but then she absolutely rolls him and says, "Yeah, I'm basically sending you to rehab. But don't worry, I bought you a warp train ticket." And I was like, yeah, get on that warp train, buddy. Oh, that would be so awesome. We just see a mini arc of this moron trying to survive on a freaking warp train. He'd probably be the first to kill himself. I noticed that it seems like the house is alive. I started getting like Monster House vibes, if you guys know about that movie. Classic. My prediction, and I know it's very early to make one, we know that there's a golden bow in the house. I also think that Kathy merged with the golden bow somehow. Dante said that there were two in there too, which is interesting. But just for going off one, if there was only one, I think Kathy somehow merged with it. I think she merged with the golden bow and basically became a living mansion. Her consciousness is the mansion. That's my prediction, which is why everything feels alive. But yeah, the last person she mentioned in her will was Heathcliff. She said, "You can have the golden bow." She said, once the 7 lightning strikes, once they're after 7 lightning strikes, you can have the golden bow. So I believe, and we learned this after there's a lightning strike, the power goes out, and then everyone's teleported to different places in the house. The entire shape of the house shifted completely. And I think that is what we're basically getting at here. Every lightning strike, the house is going to shift, and it's going to get harder and harder to reach the golden bow, which I think is very, very cool, very interesting, especially when we learn through her flashback that she loves riddles. She loves riddles. So I think this entire canto is just going to be a big riddle. I think it's going to be honest to God, based off what we've gotten so far about Catherine, it seems like she's manipulative. And it seems like she absolutely loved hitting Heathcliff with just insane riddles. Because he did mention at one point, he was like, every time I'd get it right, she'd just keep making it harder. Because she'd get frustrated, or she wanted him to get it wrong or whatever. I was like, okay, so she might be an actual psycho. I think she literally just masterfully, she wanted to create such an incredibly tough riddle just for Heathcliff, because she loves this man, that she was willing to merge herself with the golden bow and become a living house just to freaking get at him. I think that'd be the funniest thing in the world. Yeah, let's see. We learned that Catherine can also see ghosts, which I think might not be a good thing. I think that was interesting. Let's see. We learned that Linton made modifications to the house. Um, I'll mention that in a bit. Let's see. Okay, this is what I think is the meat of this canto. The factions. We have several factions in this mansion right now. We have the Sinners, Limbuscompany. We have the Butlers, which is their own association, basically. We have hold on, how to, the Wi-Fi. Bro, I can't pronounce it, that's funny. I'm sure the next video I'll be able to pronounce it properly. We have that association. We have the Dead Rabbits. And I guess if you really want to count Linton and... Nah, let's not count them. We have 4 factions right now in this mansion. This, I believe, is going to be a struggle over the inheritance. Literally just Umineko. So the thing that we learn as well from Nelly is that the butlers are directly working under different individuals. So yeah, the whole group, there may be like, let's say 20 butlers, but 5 of them may be working directly under Kathy, 5 under Linton, etc., etc. And they will only listen to the person they directly worked under, which is a problem. So we're going to have to deal with betrayals, I think. We're going to have to figure out whose allegiances lie where. So, for example, Josephine, basically Butler Ahab. She's literally just Butler Ahab. I think she's not with us, obviously. And we already had the Dead Rabbit faction attack the Butlers right after the first lightning strike. So I'm like, what? Why? That made no sense. They're the homies. They're with Heathcliff. Why are they just going crazy all of a sudden? So that's a mystery in its own. I think they are being framed. But I don't trust Josephine, not one bit. The Dead Rabbits attack the Butlers, but I don't think they're in the wrong. You know, I took my notes here. Again, I think this entire canto is just some freaking giant riddle that Catherine made because she's a sicko, which I know is kind of mean to say because she was literally sick. But I think she's a sicko. I'll call it now. Giving me Carmen vibes. I also wonder if people will start seeing ghosts throughout this canto. I think the paranormal is something that's going to be a big theme later, in my opinion. We learned that there are civilians dressed as the Dead Rabbits and being controlled somehow, and they're attacking us. I think, again, that's another way to frame the Dead Rabbit faction. We also learn that the Dead Rabbits were already destroyed. Their syndicate was destroyed already. So I'm like, what was going on with Matthew then? Did we just see a ghost or something? No, he interacted with Heathcliff. Who is Matthew? What is this guy? If his entire syndicate was destroyed, and he's bragging about how they got picked up by one of the syndicates, which I'll mention in a bit, why is their syndicate destroyed? But yeah, we later see a flashback, or one of Catherine's memories, how right after Heathcliff left, she got extremely sick. And she would never leave bed. She'd stay in bed all the time. And at one point, Linton brought her a golden flower instead of a violet one. And she was basically saying how he didn't really love her. If he loved her, he would have brought her a violet one. Which makes me believe that at some point, Heathcliff brought her that very violet flower that we saw out in the front. So I think Linton also knew that. And that bothered him. So, you know, we learned that some of the butlers who are directly working for Linton were searching for Kathy's diary, saying that, you know, that would be the key to figuring out what the heck was going on. I guess they're trying to find the golden bow at this point. We beat them. It was a little tricky. I like the animations of the butlers, but Heathcliff finds it in her pillow, finds the diary. There's like ink. It's like tricky, but we're able to read it, and it explains how she was frustrated when Heathcliff left. Then all of a sudden it was like weird because she found a mirror and she looked in it, and then she was like, we need to go to the basement, start talking like in, you know, multiple plural. I was like, okay, does that have to do with her seeing ghosts? Maybe she's talking to herself or something. I don't know about that one just yet. Maybe it has a deeper meaning. Maybe it doesn't. It definitely does. Um, let's see. I believe only Heathcliff can answer these early riddles. I think at some point though we will need either Linton or Hindley. I gotta remember his name. It's tough. Um, I think we'll need one of those people to help later on, just because it's probably gonna be riddles that Heathcliff won't know how to answer because he left. So we're gonna need one of those two people to help. But again, where do their allegiances lie? They might not want to help. Pretty much everyone hates Heathcliff, so I think we're kind of screwed there. I mean, like literally everyone hates him except for Matthew. So if Matthew appears again, maybe he's an ally. Um, we learned that Linton burned all the letters that Heathcliff was trying to send to Kathy, that pissed me off too. I was like, dang man, that's cruel. Um, but yeah, we learned that we need to go to the basement. From the diary, we stand there facing Linton. Linton mentions that the syndicate named the Ring made modifications to the house. So we learn it's one of the fingers. We met the middle, the index, the thumb. Now we know the ring. Do we know the pinky? Eh, hold on. I don't think we know the pinky just yet. We know the middle, we know the index, we know the thumb. Yeah, so we know the ring. Yeah, they were only mentioned by the Kurokuma clan. Okay. Yep. Got it. So yeah, the pinky is the last one that we don't know about yet. But that's interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm still curious about quite a few things. Okay, but Heathcliff keeps getting triggered every time Linton mentions how they were married and they were happy. Because again, there's jealousy going all around here. They all loved Kathy. And I think that's going to be a big problem later. Um, but yeah, basically to sum up this entire canto, I can already call it, it's just one big riddle. It's one big riddle. I think the most important part will be the violet flowers. I'm telling you, once it gets down to the very last mission, the last dungeon, you got the Millie song going on in the background. We're gonna be fighting uh, Kathy, who's absorbed a golden bow or two golden bows. She's gonna be buffed like crazy. It's gonna be insane. She's gonna be like, yo, she's gonna be petty too. I'll bet. Like, yeah, she may love him, but she's probably gonna be petty. Actually, it could be either or. She could be sad and angry that he left, but it's gonna be heavy emphasis on those violet flowers. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. The violet flowers. Get ready. But um, yeah, this is interesting. As I said before, I'm most interested in what the different factions are going to be doing. Like I said when I did a reaction to the trailer, there are so many characters, and I love this. It's kind of hard to keep track of, but there's so many factions. We don't know where everyone's allegiances lie. The butlers are a little more obvious, but again, they could betray someone. There could be a betrayal somewhere down the line. The dead rabbits are basically like the fodder mobs running around. They really have no allegiances at this point. They're screwed up. I don't know what's happening with them. They're just civilians. You have the Ufi Association. We don't know where the heck they went. Well, what happened to them? Right after the first lightning strike, we don't know where they went. Um, but yeah, that's also something. And then Limbuscompany, we're with the sinners. We're good. Thankfully, we didn't get separated. Now, I know we're going to have to keep track of the lightning strikes throughout this canto. And the first thing I already want to ask is, when we first got to the gate, a squirrel got hit with lightning. Does that count as the initial lightning strike? No, it wouldn't have. Because if it did, once we got in there, it would have been chaos already because everyone would have been separated all throughout the manor. Okay, so that was the first lightning strike. Dude, oh, I'm telling you, man. I... Hindley I think I can trust Hindley. I know that seems crazy because Bro is the most verbal about how much he hates Heathcliff, but it's because he's so verbal about it and he doesn't hide his feelings that I think I can trust him. Linton is the one I can't trust. What's her face? What's her name again? Mm, yeah, Josephine. I can't trust her either. Um, I honestly don't trust Matthew, and I definitely don't trust the Oofy Association. I'm just gonna call it Oofy until I figure it out. Um, but yeah, I trust the Sinners. I trust Hindley. I trust Nellie. And that's probably why Nellie and Hindley are probably just gonna freaking die at some point. I do think Nellie will 100% die in this canto. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna suck. She will die, and I'm preparing myself for it. I think almost everyone in this manor is going to die, but I'm ready for it. This is so good. God, yeah, I can't explain how excited I am for this canto. It's literally just Umineko, and I love it. But yeah, thanks everyone to tune in. I wish I could do an account update for you, but I literally can't because the game is under maintenance. I would have otherwise. But yeah, take it easy. I will see you guys in the next video when I finish the next batch. See ya.